like it's 1999. Today, Virginia sports its throwback unis worn by its title team a quarter century ago. But these Cavaliers have their eyes on the prize too. Second-ranked Virginia welcomes UNC to Klockner Stadium. Both teams begin conference play, and it's the ACC on ESPN. And we say hello, Anish Shroff, Paul Carcaterra with you from the wind tunnel here in Charlottesville. North Carolina comes into this game. They've lost 2 in a row. They've got the ACC gauntlet ahead. They're on the brink of courage and surrender, but they find opportunity.
Yeah, that's well said. Things have not gone as planned for Joe Bresci in North Carolina, but there's new hope, there's life, because conference play starts today, and they have a fantastic freshman leading the charge in Owen Duffy. He's been incredible in his first year in Chapel Hill. He leads the team in points. He's on track to be the top freshman scorer in program history. He gets to the rack on defenders. He's explosive with an electric first step, and he gets the attention game in and game out. Everyone's top defender is after Duffy, and he still has almost 50 points.
Duffy, the #1 player coming out of high school this past year. Virginia's 1-2 punch, Schellenberger and Cormier, elite.
Yeah, they speak the same language, Anish. You have Conner Schellenberger, top scorer in program history. He has X-ray vision. He sets up teammates like no other. He's the complete quarterback of the Cavaliers. And Peyton Cormier, all he's done is score 199 goals in his career. Anish, if they go deep into the NCAA tournament, he could be the all-time leading goal scorer in Division I lacrosse history. He's automatic with the left hand.
You said they speak the same language. They do speak English up in Canada, where Cormier hails from. At the face-off X, it's the freshman Brady Wambach, who's been outstanding for North Carolina. Anthony Gobriel returns after missing 3 games for Virginia. An early violation on UNC, and it will be Virginia ball to start things off. Cavaliers come into this game with one of the top offenses in the country. They average more than 15 goals per game. All the way to the cage, uncontested. That's Noah Chizmar playing the wings of the faceoff, one of the D-middies, and that was Matador defense from North Carolina.
This is strategy, Anish. If you look, the whole unit basically stays on. Chizmar was a wing. Ben Ware, the long pole, is a wing. They trap the faceoff team from North Carolina, knowing that they could get to the rack. Noah Chizmar was an attackman in high school, so he feels really smooth and comfortable getting to the rack. But I love the strategy by Lars Tiffany. He keeps his unit on to go against North Carolina's unit because he knows he can strike even with his defensive-minded wing players.
Virginia 2 for 2 off the ground. Here's the Harvard transfer, Chase Yeager. UVA today without one of its top short stick D-middies. Joey Terenzi is out. We saw him with an arm brace at practice yesterday. Conner Schellenberger picked up by Barton, the junior for North Carolina, and now Griffin Schutz will initiate from the high wing. He's built like a bulldog. Here comes Schutz. Cavaliers rely heavily on their top 6. Peyton Cormier now sitting on 199 career goals. The shovel pass is intercepted. Barton gallops across the midfield line. Barton, nobody picks him up. Feeds the wing. One more doorstep dunk. Logan McGovern gets the goal for North Carolina. We're tied at 1.
Cormier has the short stick, so he wants to get to the rack. North Carolina supports with some defense. And you see the double team, and as Cormier is getting doubled, he tries that backhand shovel pass. It's picked off by North Carolina. Barton runs the break, and Logan McGovern, 1 in Carolina blue, has such smooth stick skills. Right-handed, left-handed player, Anish. Kind of a chameleon in that offensive set.
Off the face-off, this is Andrew Tyre. He's a face-off man who plays wings as well. And Tyre last year was one of their top scoring midfielders, so he gives Joe Bresci some options. And as a guy who knows the face-off position, he understands those scraps and those grab balls off of a face-off.
He's an incredible athlete. And I can't tell you the last time I know of a face-off specialist then playing wings with that unit.
Andrew Price weaves down the alley, starting on that first midfield in place of the injured Antonio DeMarco. Now James Matton, he's been quiet the last few games, working on Jaeger. Over to Dominic Petramala, the son of defensive coordinator and lacrosse legend Dave Petramala. And that's an unforced error. Price behind the cage, couldn't field the pass, and Virginia will initiate.
A little bit of hidden ball trick here with Chizmar and Nunes. You better defend Matt Nunes. He scored the game-winning goal against Harvard last week up in Cambridge. Coast to coast. First goal of his career. I think first goal in a long time for the Virginia Cavaliers. Adam Gittleman scored one.
2010.
Yeah, 2010, 14 years ago.
Did you see Gittleman at the Sixes? Made a couple of nice full field passes, had a few assists. Here comes Schutz. Over to Schellenberger, marked by Barton. This is McCabe Millon, #2 recruit in the country. Son of 2 lacrosse Hall of Famers. Schellenberger dancing around the cage. Looking to feed. Barton eyes him in a cat and mouse game. Plenty of time to shoot. They go up top. Shot on goal turned away by Colin Krieg. That was Ryan Colsey. A lot of great bloodlines in this game. Colsey, Petramala, Millon.
You're not kidding. Colsey's father, Roy, was a high school teammate of mine, a college teammate of mine at Syracuse. We live in the same town. Ryan is essentially like a nephew to me. I've seen him since he was a young buck, and proud of his work ethic and to get on the field as a redshirt freshman in the starting midfield. As an attacker in high school. His dad, Roy, was one of the best midfielders the game of lacrosse has ever seen.
Here comes Schellenberger working on Barton. Schellenberger sitting on 99 career goals. Now Millon. He had 5 goals in his Virginia debut, and that's a sidewinder offline. Plenty of time to shoot. Jack Boyden will take it out. D3 Player of the Year at Tufts last season. Little 2-man game with Schellenberger. Boyden's got the short stick, gives it up to Schutz. Now Colsey working on Ty English. Good defense here by Carolina. Schellenberger, hands free. Cormier, the bicentennial man, goal number 200 in his career.
They keep pouring in goals for 24 and white. How fitting. Who does he get the pass from? His partner in crime, Conner Schellenberger, and Anish. I'll tell you this much. If Cormier is going to be out in front with an uncontested Schellenberger who's hanging this defense out, we've seen now twice in a row, that is a recipe for disaster for North Carolina, because Schellenberger has incredible vision, but he also is never going to rush the play. He's always going to allow it to kind of marinate and fester and then just wait for a play from North Carolina defensively to get out of sync, and then he'll spot feed.
He wields that stick like a surgeon's scalpel. Here comes Virginia. Potential unsettled opportunity for Peyton Cormier. Goal number 200. He becomes the 7th player in Division I men's lacrosse history to get to that 200-goal plateau. All-time record 221, Mac O'Keefe of Penn State. Here's Will Corey. He's been a fixture on that second midfield for a few years. Millon snakes around, one-handed shot. It will stay with Virginia on a shot closest to the ball when it goes out. Awarded possession.
I think you're seeing a lot of these hang situations because of the wing dodgers from the midfield, the help from behind.
Corey got to the top side, and he just dusted his defender, Cooper Frankenheimer. It's 3-1 Virginia, and this is a dangerous tipping point for a Carolina team that lost a heartbreaker to Army. They lost to High Point the game before that. You've got 4 straight ACC games. You're going to be the underdog. You worry if this gets away from Carolina too early.
You do. Frankenheimer just allows Corey to get to the top side. As a defensive midfielder, you need to engage at goal line extended, and you need to get some front side pressure. If you're going to allow Will Corey to go up above goal line extended, That is way too easy. But Anish, to your point, I thought it was critical for North Carolina, who's calling a timeout right now, to have a presence early in this game based on their last two games, the loss to High Point and the loss to Army.
Timeout, Joe Bresci. Heels try to regroup. Flashback to 2021 when both Carolina and Virginia reached championship weekend. They played 3 absolute barn burners that season.
Yeah, the first one was a Thursday night victory that was off the charts for North Carolina. Then Virginia goes to Chapel Hill and another doozy. Scoring was ridiculous in all these contests. That's one of the best semifinal games we've seen, right? 2021, the Cavaliers win the national title, but they were tested to the final seconds against Chris Gray and the North Carolina Tar Heels. That was a special season in the ACC, and those two teams kind of epitomize the style and the tension amongst the teams in the conference.
Wambach and Gobriel in a battle. The wings get involved, and it's scooped up by Ben Weyer. He's a threat to score. Weyer fires, save, Krieg. Off the ground, the freshman Peter Tobin flips it ahead, errant pass. Card, you understand why North Carolina has to take those chances, because in a settled set, they're outmatched against Virginia. But if you give Virginia transition the other way, this might happen.
Yeah, you do not want to get into a pace of play with Virginia where you're up and down and you're turning the ball over. Your goaltender, Colin Krieg, made a fantastic save on Ben Weir, and then you can't clear the ball. We've seen a couple of unforced turnovers by the Tar Heels early. They're going to have to play as clean as can be as the underdog here in Charlottesville.
Owen Duffy is a freshman, picked up by Cole Kastner, one of the best defenders in the country. All season long, Duffy has drawn the #1 poll for the opponent.
Yeah, people don't realize that. As a freshman to come in, like, there's no acclimation period. It's you're the guy week in and week out. It's A.J. Pilot last week against Army, one of the best. He had 5 goals in that game.
Brendan Lavelle against Penn. That's going to be a flag. Duffy flying toward the crease. We're going to get a push on Virginia. So Carolina gets the man-up unit involved, clicking at 46%. So they get Kastner.
Yeah, you see the first step of Owen Duffy. So electric and light on his feet. You see the little stutter there. Gets to the inside. And then the push by Kastner. I think certainly was a push. But you know what's interesting about Cole Kastner, too? You mentioned how good of a defender he is. He's 6'7", but he can defend a big guy. He can go after smaller, quicker guys like Duffy. When you have a #1 like that, in terms of matchups, big or small, he's the guy.
Carolina probing. Here's Duffy. Over to Ryan Levy. Now Dom Petramala. That was a good shot. It'll reset the shot clock. Matt Reedy, rare miss. He was 7 for 9 shooting prior to that. Back to even strength. Here comes Levy out of an ambush. Petramala scoops up the ball. Still plenty of time to shoot. Weyer marks in. Now Carolina has to work in the settled set. Levy turbines away from trouble and throws it away.
This Virginia defense, Anish, is so long. You know, they just cover all the gaps, the passing lanes.
A minefield. Here comes Schutz. Now Schellenberger attacking Barton. His pass tipped, and there's Tolman, an outstanding freshman. Joe Bresci says, I see a little Gavin Adler in him, the terrific defender at Cornell, who was the Defensive Player of the Year a couple of years back.
I think that's a great comp. Low center of gravity, tough, relentless motor. You tell an undersized junkyard dog defender you're not big enough to play, that's what you get. You get a chip on your shoulder, And he has delivered as a freshman. I love his feet. I love his approach, his technique. I mean, Dave Petramala has a future star at 5 in Carolina blue.
Lance Tillman out there with Dewey Egan. Carolina's got a pole out there as well. He's off to the side. Virginia not marking him. So essentially, UNC was going 5 on 6 there. I get the idea. You're looking for a matchup, but Virginia didn't even respect the pole.
No, Virginia also understood how to double Duffy on that goal line extended.
Here comes Whalen! Mitchell Whalen, they call him the killer whale, the long pole goal. It's 4-1 Cavaliers.
One area I think Virginia has improved immensely over the past season is their transition game. One of the reasons is the pole play. Ben Ware has been fantastic. Mitchell Whalen's emergence as a middle-of-the-field menace as well. You have poles like Ware and Whalen who could shoot and score, and those are the guys that I was watching pregame shooting in warm-ups.
Yeah, something to watch here. North Carolina is using 2 short sticks on the wings of the faceoff, looking to get early offense if they can win the draw.
It's the confidence in Brady Wambach, their freshman, saying, we believe he can win the draw, and if we get caught on defense, we're going to take that chance with 3 shorties.
Nunes with a trebuchet pass to Cormier. Over to Chizmar, unsettled. Chizmar gets rocked. And Tolman retrieves.
See Nunes' passing today? I mean, pinpoint.
Yeah, this is
this yesterday, man. He's dialed.
And that's a danger for Carolina in this game. It's a team that's had some issues with shot selection. Their attack shoots below 30%. A bad shot against Virginia with Nunes' outlet passing ability. That's a turnover.
Yeah, that's not a bad shot against some of the competition you faced earlier in the season. This is a completely different beast because you couple Nunes' passing with the defensive midfielders like Ware and Whalen in the middle of the field. It's instant offense.
Great crowd as the grassy knoll starts to fill in here at Klockner on a windy but sunny Saturday. Here's Trevor Dubner, the senior from Glen Ridge, New Jersey, working on Chizmar. Midfield production has lacked for UNC this season. In their best win against Penn, that unit was the one that stepped up. There's the trail check. Jaeger takes it away. Duffy couldn't hold on. Perfectly timed.
Yeah, you mentioned the lack of midfield production. James Madden, who's a converted attackman, the only 10-goal scorer from the midfield this season for the Tar Heels.
And Madden only has 1 goal in his last 4 games. Shots marked by Tyler Schwartz.
Schutz is a player where it does not matter if he has a long stick or a short stick defending him. He's so big, he's so strong. You could argue he actually attacks long sticks better because some of the short sticks can play the leverage game a little bit with him.
Freshman against freshman, Millon against Tobin. Now Schutz loves that sledgehammer dodge down the alley. Now Schellenberger, shadowed by Barton. Jaeger setting the pick. So they'll leave Jaeger out there. Wayer's out there as well. That one by Millon hits the pipe, and it's going to be Carolina ball.
One thing when you watch Millon and you watch Schellenberger play, they're so two-handed, and they can dodge from all different areas. I mean, Conner Schellenberger is a 3-time first-team All-American. As a freshman, he was a first-team All-American as a midfielder. And I see a lot of the similarities in McCabe Millon's game as Schellenberger. Head is always up, very, very two-handed, and can attack from all different spaces in the offensive set. That time on the pipe from McCabe Millon, you see his ability to shoot on the run.
Here's Duffy, over to Petramala. Petramala not shy about hunting his shot. 5 games with double-digit shots, taking it all the way. Flag down, penalty coming against UVA. Price trips, and now we get the call.
Yeah, it's going to be Schroeder on a hold, 49 in white.
That was a good take. Hey, great uncut, too. White number 49, hold, technical 30. Shot clock to 60, please.
49 white. Shot clock at 60. 49, we need 49 in the box.
Take a look at John Schroeder, the redshirt freshman, huge upsized. Yeah, he gets him right by the neck, too. Dominic Petramalo, the lefty shooter. You look at Carolina on the man up. They've been good this year at 45%. They have the shooters. Logan McGovern can hit it from the bottom corner. Petramalo, obviously the lefty.
Here comes Duffy. Gets it back from Reedy. Duffy looking to feed the crease. It's picked off. Chizmar across the timeline.
He's got a great motor, doesn't he?
He does.
This is a kid. He was a late ad, probably the last recruit for Lars Tiffany a few years ago. He was an attackman in high school. They move him to short stick D midi. Man, he loves to mix it up.
Mom Cara played at Johns Hopkins. Dad played at UMBC. Dad Richard, best-selling author of the horror genre, teams up with Stephen King quite a bit. Here comes Schellenberger. The perfect feed, and it's Boyden with the tally. And Virginia in control. It's 5-1.
This looks like a standard finish from inside. Watch Jack Boynton's head of his stick and how he manipulates the goaltender here, Anish. This is not just catch and shoot. The slight movement. Watch 28 in white. He cuts, and then he twists it across his face to increase the angle. That is high-level finishing. If he shot right from his ear there, he ran out of real estate. There was no angle. He would have hit Colin Krieg.
Now,
putting
Colin
it across
Krieg,
the face increases the angle.
I don't think Colin Krieg gets enough credit as one of the top goalies in America. It's been too many times of late where he's been left out to dry by the defense.
You saw in 2021 when they had a pretty good defense. He was awesome. They have on that unit Will Bowen. They had some dudes back there supporting him. And right now, it's still a unit that's been exposed at times, leaving him, like you said, out to dry.
They really like the freshman, Tillman. Barton came as a big-time recruit, part of that 21 class. Lance Tillman up top, Matt in a hard shot. The backup is to Reedy. We're going to see more of 37 today. He's been an efficient shooter for Joe Bresci's squad. Tough matchup for him here, though. Price denied. It's almost not fair when a team like Virginia can also get a hot goalie.
He's had one not so great half against Johns Hopkins down here a month ago. Outside of that, Matt Nunes has been spectacular.
Schutz trying to shake English. There's the slide. Whalen runs off. Boyden joins the party. Here comes Colsey, bounce shot, score. 6-1, wahoo wah.
It's a 3-year starter, Matt Nunes. He's playing with ice in his veins. The confidence is at another level. No dice for North Carolina. Quick offense and the substitution game. And I love the way Ryan Colsey at first kind of hesitates, thinking that he's going to get in the 6-on-6 set, but then he just sees a glimmer of space and attacks it. The gorgeous shot on the run.
Four of the 6 Virginia goals assisted. We come up on a minute to play in a first quarter dominated by the Cavaliers. This coming off a lackluster effort against Harvard. The Virginia coaches telling us they just felt that the team wasn't as locked in as they should have been. Nearly got upset. Down 4 goals in the fourth quarter before finishing the game on a 7-0 spurt, and their goalie scored the game winner.
Game winner with 5 minutes left. The offense wasn't in sync. Schellenberger wasn't his typical self. 6 turnovers, that's not characteristic of him. They just didn't look like they were in a groove. but they solved the Harvard defense late. And I knew this would be a game for them where they would respond in practice. That game got everyone's attention before ACC play.
Virginia can hold for one here. Schellenberger, 2 helpers in this opening quarter. Feeds up top to Millon, who fires wide. 13 seconds to go. Cormier will dig this out and then wisely passes it to Schellenberger, who will start the offense when the clock starts. 13 seconds to go. Schellenberger going to work on Barton. Gets the pick from McIntosh. Now he's got the short stick. Schellenberger feeds up top. Corey steps into it. Good look. Offline. Quarter number 1 comes to an end. Virginia domination here at Klockner.
Got the heels thinking twice in terms of handling these punches, these haymakers by Virginia.
Conner Schellenberger with a pair of assists. Peyton Cormier joins the 200 goal club. And the Orca, the killer whale, getting involved as well. North Carolina finds itself down 6-1 going into the second quarter. This was a team that reached championship weekend in 2021. They were the #1 seed. Since then, pretty much a 500 team. Last year, Clark, they ended the season on a 4-game losing streak. They have 4 ACC games to close out the year this season, starting with this one. They're going to be an underdog in every single one of those. They've already lost 2 in a row. Again, you're at a tipping point in your season. The opportunity, though, is there if you can get this thing right.
Yeah, conference play starts today. But I go back to 2021 when they had the 5th-year seniors at midfield. Tanner Cook and William Perry, Justin Anderson, Chris Gray had the magical season. And then in 2022, you bring in a freshman class that was #1 in the nation. They're now juniors. That class really has not lived up to the expectations. That's the reality of it.
Now, they've not had a ton of impact players from that group. We get a whistle on the faceoff. It's on Virginia. Carolina wants its offensive personnel in there, so Lance Tillman, who was a big part of that run in 2021, they called him Dance Tillman,
yes.
Came out of nowhere down the stretch of that big game in the quarters against Rutgers.
Oh yeah, at Hofstra. The electric feet from behind the cage just gave them the shot in the arm they needed. But Virginia's erased Owen Duffy in this game as well.
Here comes Tillman, played attack last year, back to midfield. Now Duffy. Working on Kastner, who's got the wingspan of a pteranodon.
Yes, and he plays smaller guys. Pat Cavanaugh from Notre Dame, 5'9", 5'10". Cole Kastner's 6'7", but he keeps up with the footwork of these guys.
Petramala trying to get to the left hand. There's the slide, dumps it back to Tillman. Nice move by Tillman, but it's stripped away. John Schroeder, the redshirt freshman, loose ball. Tillman able to recover. Still plenty of time to shoot. Tillman around the bend. Up top, Price. One more. Matten fires wide.
No backup there. It's going to be Virginia ball. Noah Chizmar. Smart to win the race to the end line. Shot out of bounds. Closest to the ball when it goes out. It's UVA.
It seems North Carolina's best opportunities are coming on scrambles, unsettled situations. How do they generate anything in the 6-on-6?
Well, I think that's a great point, because when you look at their offense, it's been so attack reliant, right? You have Owen Duffy, you have Dominic Petramala. They're a third of the scoring of the entire team, almost 40% on the season. So you're forcing the midfield to come to the party, and the reality is they haven't been able to separate. They haven't been able to initiate in some of these big games.
Millon turns it over.
So when you bottle up Duffy, essentially Petramala is your wing shooter, and he can dodge off of slides and poor approaches, but he's not taking the ball out and starting the offense like Owen Duffy. So if you take the head of the snake, right, out of the equation, Who's stepping up for this team right now in terms of creating offense?
This team last week had Army on the ropes. They had a 6-2 lead in that game. And then Army was able to fight back. Really no answer for Jake Plunkett. Not many teams have had one. Duffy up top to Johnny Schwartz, part of that junior class. Schwartz bouncing off Erdman. Now back to X. Stepped out shot and a score. Logan McGovern, 17th of the season for the second-year grad transfer from Bryant.
You remember after his first goal, I said how two-handed he was? He scored on a beautiful low-angle rip in the first corner with the right hand. This time, Logan McGovern, he's on the wing, and he spots up left hand, and he sneaks that. Look at the placement in the shot. Matthew Nunes gets in the wide base. He's a righty goalie, and he sticks it right between his left elbow and that pipe. The placement on McGovern's lefty rip was fantastic.
Wambach had the face-off won, and it comes back to Geppert, the Brown transfer. And now North Carolina sets up its clear, so Heels getting more looks on Cage. They only had one shot on goal in that first quarter. Second midfield coming on for UNC. It's Dubner, it's Schwartz, and it's Levy. Here is Ryan Levy. Mom Jenny, the head coach for the UNC women's team. Now Dubner, the senior. Working on Yeager, the Harvard transfer. Dubner spins it. Nothing there for Duffy. Petramala can't handle the pass. And Kaloji's got it for Virginia. It truly is Jurassic Park with the shadow that these poles cast on defense.
You know, and then you bring into the mix. You obviously have Kastner here with the ball. But Schroeder, a bit of an unknown. Red shirts a season ago, and now he's like your number 2 when he's healthy. He's incredible.
Do you remember championship weekend last year? Quint, myself, and you were watching Virginia practice, and how is this guy not playing? How is this guy not playing? And it's Fulton and Schroeder who are now starting on defense.
Well, Lars Tiffany has a blueprint of what he wants as defensive players in terms of their reach and their length, and it's working.
Millon can't get topside. Good defense by Toman. Now here comes Schutz. Draws the slide over to Cormier. Got the short stick English. Cormier using that body. Fires it high. That was the old Maryland possession shot. Lars Tiffany. Already 2 titles in the bank at Virginia. Tom Starsia won 4. Started with that 99 team. Team that ended a 27-year championship drought. Chizmar on the doorstep off the great feed from Millon, and Virginia tallies another.
This is the lacrosse IQ. How I made the comparison of Millon and Schellenberger. Millon allows the play to develop. He's not in a rush. He has a short stick on him. And the short stick turns his head. You'd think that he'd be flying to the cage, but he realizes when the short stick turns his head, the eyes then go to Millon. And Chizmar, for a second possession now in this game, stays on and is in no rush to get off the field because he knows in the substitution game he has someone trapped, a player who doesn't want to play defense. And when you don't want to play defense, guarding is one thing, off the ball is even another thing to take advantage of.
They get a hold without possession on North Carolina, so Virginia back to work with a 5-goal lead.
Telling you, Millon looks at the game very similar to Schellenberger.
Weyer's out there, Wambach on him. And don't leave Weyer out there. They feel he's really an offensive player with a long pole, and the joke around the Virginia team is he'd rather play offense with a pole.
You look at him, he's great on the floor with ground balls. I think he's tailor-made for the PLL.
Millon to Schellenberger. Oh, great look. Schellenberger couldn't finish.
You know, I did a feature.
How many times did we see that with Xander Dixon last year?
Did a feature last year with Conner Schellenberger, asking him, why haven't you ever shot behind the back? That's a spot where I think he could have gone behind the back.
There comes Schellenberger, looking for the cutter. It was Sunderland. That's going to be over and back, offsides. Striano asking for it. He gets it, one of the shorties. We're seeing Virginia defensively lock in the settled sets. North Carolina trying to find an answer with the midfield. Now, we've seen that first unit with Tillman, Matten, Price. We've seen Dubner, Schwartz, Levy, seen some Dewey Egan out there. They're trying different groups to figure out, hey, what fits?
Well,
Reedy's been out there.
Almost 3 midfields to find those guys, right? They're giving so many opportunities. But what I'm seeing now is if you erase Owen Duffy, this offense scratches their head. Like, where is the offense coming from? Owen Duffy has had a phenomenal freshman season, but they've asked him to do so much in terms of generating offense from a one-on-one perspective. But when you have Cole Kastner on you and he erases you,
now what?
Now what?
Here comes Schutz. Millon, marked by Tillman. That's been a good matchup so far. Schellenberger's got the short stick English. He'll isolate him. Here comes Barton with the help. Good recovery by Carolina. Schutz spins it to Millon. Serpents around the crease. Millon tried to get top side. Tillman again. The defense to jar it loose. And it's going to be North Carolina ball. Quick restart. Transition opportunity. English into the box. Over to McGovern. He's got 2. Duffy got top side. And Nunes got a piece.
Yeah, Nunes with the save. I think Duffy, when he catches that ball, rather than going over or underhand, he should go 3/4 or overhand. It's kind of fading away from the cage. His head was sideways. Got to square up the shoulders and bury that.
That's as good a look as Carolina's had today. Here comes Dubner. Back to Levy. Duffy can't handle the pass. Rolling toward midfield. Kastner kicks it ahead. It's over and back. It's going to be Virginia ball, but they're going to have to restart near midfield.
That's 5 yards. He didn't interfere with the guy, so it's probably a good goal call.
Second midfield now for Virginia. Menke out there with Corey and Sunderland. Corey's got a goal today. Schellenberger a couple of assists, still looking for that first goal. Schellenberger turns the corner. Number 100 for his career. And 3 points in this opening half.
The 100 goals. He's known as an assist man. He'll beat you with his eyes. He'll beat you with his feet. He'll beat you with his low angle shooting ability. The magic of Conner Schellenberger. The best player ever to put on a Virginia jersey.
Conner Schellenberger is Virginia's all-time leading point scorer. He's their all-time leader in assists. And he just tallied goal number 100 at Clark. I can't let you off the hook that easy. Going to break, you said greatest player in Virginia history.
Yeah, I'm happy to defend that statement. For starters, he's on pace and will be the only 4-time first-team All-American ever to play at Virginia. He's going to be a first-team All-American in 2 positions, as a midfielder as a freshman, and the next 3 years as an attackman. He's the all-time leading point scorer in Virginia lacrosse history. The other 5 players in the top 5 all played more games than him. Everyone says, oh, he was around for 2020. Scores another. I'm going to continue on this guy. In 2020, the COVID year, everyone got that extra year. Conner Schellenberger was redshirting regardless. He never stepped on the field. If you look at what he's done and the body of work, as a freshman, all he did was win a national championship and was the tournament's most outstanding player. He's done everything. He's checked off every single box. I don't think anyone can argue against me.
Well, when you make your case and in the middle of your argument, he goes and scores a goal.
I mean, to be a first-team All-American in 2 positions, the only player off the top of my head, and I'm sure if you go in the archives, Casey Powell did it. First-team All-American in 2 positions. But Conner Schellenberger is a 4-time first-team All-American. That is like uncharted territory. Trevor Baptiste did that. Michael Powell did that. I think Jack Turnbull did 100 years ago for Johns Hopkins.
Good look there by Carolina. Tire.
Del Dressel from Johns Hopkins was as well. It is an elite club. And when you do it in 2 positions, and you're the all-time leading point scorer in school history in less games than every other great offensive player.
And again, even to be in that conversation at a program like Virginia speaks in the imperative.
The incredible players, the Matt Wards, the Chris Rotellis, the J.J. Alberts.
I'm going to see Connor Gill, who's part of that 99 team.
Michael Watson. These are all legendary players.
Yeah, you can't even, you picked a bad week to put.
Here comes Price, throws it away, wanted Petramala, and you're just sensing, and I hope it's just for this game for North Carolina and it doesn't snowball into the season, but you're sensing a team that's on tilt.
You are, and you lost to High Point 2 weeks ago, and that was a brutal loss because you're leading, you're winning by quite a bit. High Point comes back, they tie the game late, they end up winning, and then you respond with Army and you have that lead against a really good team that was ranked #1 in the country for a couple of weeks this season, and you come up short. This was the game I was waiting for to see Carolina. How would they respond? It wasn't even so much about winning or losing today.
What kind of fight?
Exactly. What was the fight like?
Boyden wants Colsey. Instead, it's Cormier. He spins around, pops it into the air. Colsey able to get the ground ball, throws it right to Barton. Number 10 in there for Virginia. That is Wills Burt, a freshman, with Joey Terenzi out, which is a big loss. He's now the 4th short stick D-midi.
Yeah, Joey Terenzi was having a season where I thought he was a top 5 short stick defensive midfielder in college lacrosse. A pit bull.
Duffy, skip pass, step down, Dewey Egan. And he gets into it with his defender, Burt, afterwards, 9-3. They've been waiting on Dewey Egan, 6'4", San Diego, California, and he's got a hammer of a right-handed shot.
He's played a bunch of attack throughout the course of his career. Put him in the midfield to give that unit some punch, and he delivers this one with a step down. Owen Duffy diagnoses the pressure of the Virginia defense, hedging towards him to support as a dodger, and he counters with a spectacular through pass to Dewey Egan.
Egan didn't play last week, 5th goal of the season. Top 15 recruit in that 2021 class. Here is Tyer off the face-off wings. Over to Wambach. Fires, save, Nunes. Picked up by Schroeder. He lost it in the Carolina minefield. McGovern gets it back, and the Tar Heels can go back to work. One place where UNC has a chance in this game, where you can't close the door on them, they're excellent at faceoffs.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, let's not take for granted how good of a lacrosse player Andrew Tyre is. I mean, he's been a faceoff specialist throughout the course of his career. He's scored a ton of goals. Now he's playing a ton of wings with Brady Wambach, who's the best freshman faceoff man in college lacrosse. Just tells you how versatile he is as a lacrosse player, Andrew Tyre.
Egan marked by Chizmar. McGovern now draws Kastner. McGovern's got 2 tallies. Up top, Petramala. Now Duffy. Looking to move Schroeder. Duffy gets inside and scores. Excellent individual effort by the nation's top freshman coming out of high school.
This is a great take, Anish. You know, Owen Duffy against a big body and John Schroeder. I'm thinking that he's going to use his feet. He's not going to want to play the body. But he wins the leverage game here. And right here, you see he puts the shoulder in, and he takes that shot at the absolute perfect time here. Because if he takes one more step, he's toast from an angle perspective. But he holds his ground, showing you the strength of Owen Duffy. Everyone talks about his explosiveness and how he's able to beat you off the dribble. That time he showed some strength.
His 29th goal of the season, 3 shy of the North Carolina freshman record. He's also closing in on Nicky Galasso's freshman points record. That's going to go back to Carolina, so Virginia put Thomas Colucci, grad transfer from Colgate, at the faceoff X, and Carolina can now play make it, take it lacrosse.
See the importance of Owen Duffy, though. Part of the last 2 goals for North Carolina, the assist to Dewey Egan, then the unassisted goal, the one-on-one against John Schroeder. What freshman does the offense rely on as much as Owen Duffy and the North Carolina Tar Heels? I mean, he's the guy. He's the focal point.
Carolina got the timeout before Kastner could sink his teeth into Duffy. It's a lot to ask, even for the #1 freshman. You think of Conner Schellenberger is a great example. He redshirted in 2020 as a true freshman. As a redshirt freshman, he played on a team with Doc Sakin, Matt Moore, Michael Krause, right?
Yeah, look,
Krause I think was gone by then.
Krause was gone for 1 year. But a perfect scenario is being Conner Schellenberger in 2021 or McCabe Millon in 2024. McCabe Millon was one of the top high school players for the last couple years. He comes to Charlottesville, and the keys to the offense are Conner Schellenberger's. But for McCabe Millon to get acclimated to college lacrosse by looking at a mentor every single day in practice, in games, how he handles himself, how he studies, how he breaks down the opposition. That's the way that you want it to be. When you develop a program, you want to have a succession plan. So next year, guess who they're going to hand the keys to at Virginia? It's going to be McCabe Millon's offense, but he got to slowly get acclimated. Duffy, it's like, hey buddy, you're jumping into the water with both feet. No swimmies, nothing. Like, you're all in. This is your offense, and you're going to have to grow with it now. Will this pay dividends down the road for a guy like Duffy? Yes. But from a program perspective, you always want to have the development stages more in line with Schellenberger 2021, McCabe Millon 2024.
And to your earlier point, that's where the lack of production from that junior class, which was the #1 class coming out of high school, it hurts you, because if that class had been as advertised, just by default, there's less pressure on Owen Duffy and Dom Petramala.
Duffy week 1 was getting the opponent's #1. Imagine that, your freshman year. They didn't even wait till the tape was out. Because in the fall, he had a couple of great scrimmages, and early in the season, everyone was talking, before the games actually started, the buzz around Owen Duffy. He did not even get a game without the top pole. That's crazy.
Duffy, 2 assists, a goal so far. McCabe Millon's got an assist. Talking to Millon at Virginia practice yesterday, big Yankees fan. And so one of the trainers, so Dad Mark, a legend, wore number 9 because his favorite player growing up was Greg Nettles, the great Yankee third baseman who had a great glove, played on some really good teams there in the late 70s and 80s.
I know another lunatic Yankee fan.
Yeah, you do, standing next to one. See, liking lacrosse and baseball doesn't have to be mutually exclusive.
I'm a huge Yankee fan. I was born in the Bronx. Some of my greatest memories of sporting events when my dad would take us all in the park.
Here comes Weyer. All the way. And someone got a piece of the stick from the backside. Millon will take it out.
Always had the cheap seats, though.
Bleachers, right field bleachers.
If we were lucky.
We've got North Carolina, Virginia going on behind us at the Dish, the baseball stadium here. Top 15 baseball matchup.
Here's a look at Millon. You know, Virginia's been so strong over the years, too, with the 2-quarterback system, right? It was Matt Moore and Michael Krause. Then it was Conner Schellenberger and Matt Moore. Now it's Conner Schellenberger and McCabe Millon. When you have the 2 quarterbacks, I always say you need a presence behind the cage to win a national championship. In the last 30 years, the only 2 teams that didn't have like true guys behind the cage initiating were the Hopkins teams in 2005 and 2007.
Yeah, they had some guy named Paul Rabel, and Kyle Harrison was on one of those teams.
But every other team, and I've gone through everyone, had an ex-presence, a guy behind the cage.
Here comes Schellenberger. Gets the pick from Corey. Now Toma, the freshman, on Shelley. Good job disrupting the shot. Off the rebound. The stick skills. It's true. It's Sunderland.
Call it off.
Cleaning up the trash, and they call it timeout. So they're going to wave that goal off. Lars Tiffany.
You owe Truitt.
He owes him one.
You owe a steak. Oh, poor Truitt, because this was a phenomenal handle. Shelley gets some pressure. Slow shot from Schellenberger. The rebound from Truitt. Yeah, Toman gets in the body of Shelley. That's great defense by Toman, the freshman. Catches, turns. There's the timeout.
That's through a triple team.
Yes.
Oh. That's a Sports Center top 10 non-goal.
You look at the bench erupts.
It's
then
waved
they
off.
see the ref wave it off.
They call the timeout. What do you say as a coach to a player when that happens?
Sorry, Truitt. My bad. Oh.
A 9-4 Virginia Cavaliers, 9-1, number 2 team in the country. Lone loss came to Johns Hopkins. Virginia's put up wins against Michigan. They've beaten Ohio State, pretty good Richmond team. Beat Maryland. Beat Harvard last week in a game where they were on the ropes, had to come back from 4 down. Matthew Nunes, yes, that's the goalie. He said he was looking for Conner Schellenberger. Shelley wasn't open. He went full blaze.
Wide pass to Conner Schellenberger when you could stick it. That was incredible. At practice yesterday, I said to him, I didn't come all the way down to Charlottesville not to see you score. I want to see it end to end again. I said it in front of Lars Tiffany, too. I don't know if he loved that, but Adam Gittleman, this is 2010, I believe. A little bit different, though. ACC tournament. Maryland consistent to the day with the camera from the blimp. But Gittleman sticks it from about 60 yards, quite different, but you've seen Adam Gittleman,
that looked like the Zapruder film.
Yeah, Gittleman
that was 2010, it wasn't 1967.
Yeah, exactly. Gittleman still loves to take it coast to coast when he can. Playing in the PLL for the Boston Cannons.
We had HD in 2010, didn't we? Shuts over to Corey.
So they're in a zone right now, North Carolina.
Here's Cormier, shot blocked, scooped up off the ground.
So off the timeout, a little bit of a chess match. Dave Petramalo, the defensive coordinator for North Carolina, goes into a zone defense. So it's almost a double whammy, the timeout. You lose the Sunderland goal, and then you have to deal with a zone. And an offense that doesn't capitalize.
They got to get it across. They're not going to. You have to get it across midfield before the shot clock hits 60.
It's not always easy against Virginia. Known for their ride.
Final 30 seconds, first half. 9-4 Virginia. Cavaliers have led by as many as 7.
Back in the zone. You got Schutz. He can beat you from up top with a hammer.
Boyden over to Schutz. Now Cormier on that high wing. Carolina packed in tight. 10 seconds. Schellenberger, feet in front to Boyden. Yes, sir. 10-4.
Anytime you have a zone, you want 2 things, Anish. Shooters from the outside and passers who can dissect. Well, you got a couple passers in Millon and that guy right there who's had more assists than any player in Virginia history. Conner Schellenberger's heads up. I like the quick release of the pass, too. The subtlety. Because what that does is when you have a big swooping motion, you allow a defense to prepare for a pass. When it's right off the ear like that, it's sudden.
Final seconds. Tyre slings one into the cross of Matthew Nunes. Kevin Cassis, the offensive coordinator for Virginia, told me yesterday Conner Schellenberger knows he didn't play well against Harvard.
Yep.
He's had a little extra giddy up this last week in practice. Expect him to have a big game. How about 3 assists and 2 goals in the opening half?
Fantastic. And that last goal, though, was telling because now it gives Carolina some questioning in terms of do we play zone in the second half, right? The timing of that goal to break the zone in the final seconds of the second quarter gives Kevin Cassis and that offensive, that system. We're going to beat you with passing. If you go into a zone, we're going to beat you off the dribble if you go man. You've got your hands full.
Virginia put up double-digit goals in the opening half. North Carolina only had 8 shots on goal in the opening half. Cavaliers rolling 10-4 at the break. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. Virginia leading North Carolina 10-4, your score at the half. It's the ACC opener for both of these teams. Anish Shroff, Paul Carcaterra. Conner Schellenberger coming off maybe the worst game of his career last week against Harvard. Puts together a dynamite first half, 3 assists, 2 goals. You called him the best player in the history of the program. I know people are going to run with that, but he's backing you up today. Listen, he's an all-time great. And right now, North Carolina's got no answer for Virginia.
They don't. Obviously, Virginia's offense with Schellenberger has been terrific in the first half with the 9 goals. I love the defense, too, from Virginia. I think Owen Duffy came in as a huge player nationally. From a freshman perspective, he's been tearing it up with 46 points coming into the game. But that long, lengthy Virginia defense has kind of swallowed up this entire North Carolina offense. And I think they've answered the bell, too. After a week up in Cambridge, we've mentioned in the first half, the offense wasn't great. The defense wasn't at their mark as well. But Schellenberger dissecting the defense with some pinpoint passing shows you the footwork, too, and his ability to score with low angle. Answered right off the face-off, the stretch shooter. He showed you a little bit of everything in the first half and why he's so versatile. North Carolina decides to go into a zone late in the second quarter. And I don't know if that's a smart decision when you're down 6 goals late into the second quarter. You want to slow the game down with zone, but moving forward in the second half, when you play zone defense, Anish, you slow the game down and the clock becomes your enemy. So North Carolina is in a tough spot.
And when you have a maestro like Schellenberger, who we've seen over the years, he's so patient. A zone defense is not something he hasn't seen before. If you give him enough time, he'll pick it apart.
Yeah, he's back there at X, uncontested, behind the cage, and just waiting for the offense to get through their progressions and they get through their cuts. This is a situation, though. North Carolina does have an opportunity to get back in this game with Brady Wambach, the freshman sensational face-off man.
All right, they get a loose ball push on Virginia, and face-offs are an avenue for North Carolina. There were times in the opening half where UNC missed some chances in unsettled spots. Can't afford to do that. You can't have unforced errors. Petramala picks up the ground ball, heaves it back. Chizmar picks it up off the body, and then we get a flag on the near sideline. It's going to be a push,
push
with
on
possession.
You know, I think that's a situation. That's John Schroeder again. It's his second penalty. He had the hold on Petramala in the first half, and now the push. It looked like Petramala was running out of real estate. I don't think he needed to engage there. Refs think it's from the back.
One of those iron axioms, use that sideline as the extra defender.
Yes. So this is a unit, the extra man, 45% coming into the season, or this game, season statistic. That's a good extra man unit. You want to be around 40% or above. They got the slick six, and they got the shooters.
Good ball movement right on the inside. McGovern give him a hat trick.
When I mentioned slick sticks, it's a matter of catching, having some deception, and the ability to get a through pass, beat the backside of a defense. Right there, this is, when you play the high crease like that, Ryan Levy does a fantastic job of catching and not forcing a shot. When he bangs it back up top, the weakness in the opening of the defense is that back lower left side with Logan McGovern. You saw Carolina just with the crisp passing. That looked like almost how Notre Dame uses the high crease and Jake Taylor.
Another face-off won by the Tar Heels. Looking to go, bounce shot, save by Nunes. The outlet to Colucci, and Virginia pushing the other way. The counter, Schellenberger whips it, and it'll be North Carolina ball. Krieg got a piece of it. He was also closest to the ball when it went out of bounds. No backup from Virginia. So Carolina using face-offs. They got a chance. They dodged a bullet on the other end.
Matthew Nunes is passing off of a save, and you mentioned it earlier too in the first half. It's so quick off the save.
Here comes Tyre. Virginia's defense closing in, puts a shot, but he missed the cage. McGovern's got the backup.
Like, if you're playing offense against Virginia, after Matthew Nunes makes a save, you better bust your rear end to get into the hole and play defense, because he is making a 30-40 yard pass, and they are all gas.
And Nunes has come in on a heater, 67% previous 3 games, 6 of 11 today. Here's Matten against Jaeger. Egan. Matten chased by Weyer. Sophomore out of Maryland. There's Petramala, shot clock at 10. Petramala had his shot altered by Fulton. Will Erdman now, the freshman shorty. Shuts out of the box. Slams on the brakes. First midfield comes on. Shuts joined by Colsey, 13 in white, and Boyden. Virginia wearing its throwback unis to honor the '99 team that was honored at halftime. First of 4 championship teams for Dom Starsia. No one in college lacrosse has more titles in the last 25 years than Virginia's 6. Millon hit the deck and misses.
That '99 team, Anish, was a 27-year drought in Charlottesville. It's Dom Starsia's first of 4 national championships. Some of the greats, J. Jalbert in attendance, Tucker Radabaugh. That was a team, ended up beating Syracuse 12-10 in the national title. Conner Gill's freshman season.
Yeah.
Did an amazing Final Four run.
Millon finds the back of the net.
Talk about Conner Gill in 1999 being a freshman playing high-level lacrosse. There's a guy down in Charlottesville by the name of McCabe Millon. Burst onto the scene. First game of the season against Michigan for 5 goals. Gave him the confidence and the swagger to get to the rack, and he shows the two-hand ability I mentioned earlier. Schellenberger and Millon are 2 guys that can go to the rack with both hands. Millon is a natural righty. He's an attackman who likes to play a goal line extended behind the cage. But the versatility of a player like him to sweep across, almost like a traditional midfield dodging move, it makes him a tough cover.
Colucci wins the face-off. The Colgate transfer all the way. Missed the cage. Millon's got the backup.
You know, that's one of the things I love about some of the attackmen nationally. Millon right there showing you versatility, playing all over the field. There's Ben Ware. Pat Cavanaugh, and we're going to see him tomorrow when Notre Dame plays Duke. He dodges from above the goal line in traditional midfield spots as well. And what I like about that is you take a defender out of their comfort zone. A close defender doesn't want to play in space, and they're not accustomed to playing attackmen that are dodging like midfielders.
Schellenberger, the senior on the freshman Toman. Over to Corey, second midfield for Virginia. Now Millon gets the pick from Cormier. Corey's got a goal today. Menke camped out behind the cage. Schellenberger with a left hand got a piece of Krieg. And Colin Krieg clamps down. He'll outlet ahead to Barton, who's dangerous in transition. Petramala. Striano missed the cage. You look at the shots for Carolina, and this has been an issue. You know, shooting percentage for this team on the season, 28%. That's 51st in the nation. That's one of the worst.
Yeah, and put in
all
perspective,
lacrosse.
the top 10 scorers for Virginia are all above 30%. Like, they don't even have an outlier who's below 30%. Carolina as a team is below 30%.
Yeah, and their attack is below 30%. Part of that is youth. There is a lot of promise with Duffy and Petramala. Duffy looking to escape the clutches of Kastner and Schroeder. McGovern, Petramala, shot blocked. The size of Virginia. I mean,
exactly.
It seems there's 7 of them out there.
You think Petramala has a beautiful high crease crank opportunity, and then all of a sudden some monster just develops, right? Is in front of you, swallowing that shot.
There's Dubner. Petramala, left hand free, missed the cage. And so then when you get a good look, Kark, you were a shooter.
Yeah.
When there's small windows and you finally do get a good look, you get a little jumpy.
You do. And then you start thinking about the defensive pressure too, and the size of this team. Like, do I have the opening? Do I have the space?
Boy, they're all over. Fulton scoops up the ground ball.
How big's Fulton? What do you got on him?
George Fulton is 6'6". Kastner 6'7". Schroeder's 6'5".
Schroeder's the runt of the litter at 6'5" in the close defense. Put that in perspective.
Now, guys like Weyer and Kaloji off the bench coming at 6'3" and 6'2".
Little guys. I mean, you think of a close defense of 6'7", 6'6", and 6'5".
I'll say this. I don't think people around the country are giving the defenses in the ACC enough credit.
I think
you look at what Duke has,
improved.
You look at what Virginia has, you look at what Notre Dame has. You know, Syracuse,
minus
this past
the Cornell
week,
game.
This
Don't
past
turn on
week,
that tape.
notwithstanding, looked like they had taken a step up on defense.
Huge jump.
Cormier denied by Krieg, telegraphed the shot.
But you know what's interesting about Virginia's defense, Anish, is the 3 guys, they weren't like the #1 rated defenders coming out of high school. Cole Kastner was a project. He wasn't heavily recruited. He was a basketball player. He was one of the late recruits to Lars Tiffany's class. So he's finding these guys. It's not like they're the #1 defender nationally from a recruiting perspective.
Cole Kastner in 2021 as a freshman, the only games that he started were the 4 in the NCAA tournament.
I remember doing the Virginia-Syracuse game with you his freshman year, and he didn't start. And I remember on the air that day, and when we were talking off the air, they had to play him the entire game. He was in the middle of the field, and he was creating chaos every single time he stepped on the field. It's like, who is this guy?
But Duffy just missed Petramala there. Here comes Duffy again. Working on Kastner. Now the double. Duffy feeding. And they're going to wave it off. Tillman was in the crease.
Oh, that's a phenomenal pass by Owen Duffy. The
Again,
eyes and the vision.
When he gets more help around him, I think you're going to see Owen Duffy take off.
They're going to have to get some midfield presence in a hurry for this season and moving forward. This guy is certainly someone, and he showed you today, too, some elite passing. You know about him. I think we're going to get a challenge on that call. You know about Owen Duffy as a dodger and a scorer, but he's shown you today some next-level passing with pressure in his hands and seeing through a defense.
North Carolina has challenged whether we have a goal going on the media review. Media timeout.
They'll look at the Tillman goal that was disallowed. We'll step aside. We're going to get the call on the review.
After review, the call on the field is confirmed. No goal, goal now.
And that was the issue. Tillman released the shot before stepping into the crease. The ball went in before he was in the crease, but his left hand ended up scraping the outline of the goal mouth. That puts him in the goal mouth. He wasn't pushed.
Strike call.
It was an easy call. You may not like the rule, you may not like the goal mouth, but again, letter of the law. I mean, we saw it last night, UConn, Iowa. Letter of the law. That's an illegal screen.
Look, the only time you can land in the goal mouth and the goal be good is if it's a push from defensive pressure. But no part of your body, hand, head, shoulders can land in the goal mouth, and that's the rule. So the call is right.
7 minutes to go in the third, 11-5. Schellenberger 5 points today. McCabe Millon beats the short stick. Over to Sunderland, shot low, save Krieg.
If you're a Virginia fan, you want Sunderland scoring after he got robbed that one, right?
Got robbed by his coach. Tiffany called a timeout to take away a goal that was scored through a triple team. Off the turnover, Cormier face dodge, gives it up to Schellenberger. The one more pass off the stick of Corey. Krieg springs out of the cage. Virginia #2 in the country, Carolina unranked. Tar Heels' best win, a victory against Penn. But the Heels have some scars on their resume. Lost to Hopkins, Princeton. The High Point one really hurts. And then Army last week.
Today was an opportunity for new life with ACC play starting. They got 4 games, all conference. Syracuse next week, and you wrap up with Notre Dame and Duke. So it's season #2. Could they answer the bell?
Duffy again against Kastner. Good defense. That'll go to Virginia.
We talked about it earlier too. Like, it wasn't necessarily a situation where you felt like Carolina had to win this game. You had to see fight.
You wanted to see some evidence that they could win maybe a couple of these last 4 games. And Joe Bresci called a timeout early. I thought it was a great timeout, 3-1. You could sense it. We could sense it. Things were going sideways. The defense allowed a couple of Matador goals. You wondered, could they settle in? Just hasn't been consistent enough. Mullen's shot is
Gotta
not
get
there.
those conference wins this year, Anish. I mean, there's 5 ACC men's lacrosse teams. 4 advanced to the ACC tournament. There's no automatic bid, but you want to be there for RPI reasons. You want to be there for another opportunity to get a big win. I mean, you get a big win in the semifinals of the ACC, you're probably going to host.
You got 3 potential mantelpieces in Duke, Notre Dame, and Virginia. You know, those are the top 3 in the RPI. So if you get one of those 3 wins, it's a huge boost to your resume. Here's McGovern. ACC tournament for the men and the women in Charlotte this year. First time the men will have an ACC tournament since 2019. No automatic qualifier, so you know, it's essentially designed to be an RPI inflator.
The Queen City, place you call home.
Yeah. Here's Tillman weaving through. Comes back to Duffy. They'll get a new 60. Did it get a piece of Nunes?
Believe so.
Duffy's had to deal with Kastner all day. Backhanded shot. Egan's got the backup.
You know, we talk about fight. I'll tell you, Aiton Carolina Blue has fight. And he doesn't back down from the matchup. Cole Kastner is a KG vet, a senior, a national champ. Owen Duffy, the freshman. He's going after Kastner. Not successful all the time, but he will not back down.
Egan got a good screen that time from McGovern and just missed the cage. You know, you go back to the shooting there. That's a good look. You get top side, you get that right hand free. McGovern's got a hat trick today. He's been a lone bright spot for North Carolina. Over to Duffy. Step down opportunity, just a bit too high. That was Lance Tillman. Reedy is in there as the 3rd attackman. 37 in blue. Now Matten on the invert against Yeager. Matten trying to get inside. No flag.
Yeah, I thought they could have gotten Virginia on a hold there on Matten, just prohibiting him to move above the goal line. Someone down there thought it was a hold too.
And they expressed that very clearly. Skip pass. Here comes Schutz. Over the shoulder of Krieg. Griffin Schutz.
Talk about some deception, Anish, from our vantage point. And I think Colin Krieg thinks as well. Looks like he's about to shoot the ball across his body to the lower corner, and he goes near side. That is deception, and that is phenomenal awareness to get a goalie to bite. Traditionally, a lot of guys will step down, split, and go to the bottom corner. You're on a lefty goalie, and to hit him near side there shows you the shooting prowess of Griffin Schutz, who I believe is one of the top 4 midfielders in college lacrosse right now. We talk about shooting too. He's above 40% on the season.
As a midfielder.
Yes. And the Carolina team as a whole under 30%. He probably needs to shoot more.
Tommy McNeil pops it into the air. Virginia wins a face-off. Now, when we were at practice yesterday, Griffin Schutz goes by. He looks like a linebacker.
Yes. You know, you and I cover ACC football. I mean, Griffin Schutz, when Peyton Wilson from North Carolina State walks in, it's the same kind of athlete.
Same year, you're right. You know, so much is made about his build, and he's got, you know, the physicality of a caveman, but he moves like a ninja. He's got the finesse.
He's two-handed. You saw him shoot with his offhand right there, lefty. Griffin Schutz is also matchup proof. You put a pole on him. There's John Thompson, first-year offensive coordinator for North Carolina. Spent many years as a head coach at Amherst. Very well respected. And Joe Bresci has a new staff. He's got Dave Petramalo, the defensive coordinator, Thompson, the offensive coordinator. But back to Schutz, too. I just think that his upside is just massive.
McGovern on the doorstep, denied by Nunes. And they finally settled on Schutz's position this year. Now, for a while, was he an attackman? Was he a midfielder? Was an attackman in high school? They said, no, you're a midfielder. Schellenberger, low to too high.
And I like him above the goal line, right? When he has a full head of steam above the goal line. He doesn't have that, like, slickness as an attackman. He's a battering ram, but he's so two-handed, and his skills are a lot better than you would think, like when you first see him, right? He's got the softer hands are developing now. See his ability to split. When I say he's matchup proof, a smaller defender he's going to run over. A big defender, he's going to use straight line speed and some quickness. You saw the change of direction. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, a lot of times, certain midfielders, oh, you pull him with the right guy, he's not going to be in the mix. That's not the case with Griffin Schutz.
Dubner against Wills Burton. Backside, one more behind the back. McGovern off the pipe.
Great ball movement by Carolina.
Everything but. Final 10 seconds. Nunes downfield, and Krieg took it away from Cormier. He sends it back the other way as Nunes was retreating toward the cage. Would have counted if it went in. 3 quarters in the books. Virginia has put the shackles on North Carolina. It's a 7-goal lead by the Cavaliers, looking to go to 10-1 on the season. 15 minutes left in this one. 5 points for Schellenberger. Millon's got 3. Cavs in control. Conner Schellenberger figures to be one of the top 3 picks in the PLL draft. Kark, on your big board, you've got him at number 2.
Yeah, I think any other year, Conner Schellenberger is a slam dunk number 1. Problem is, you have an absolute generational talent in Brendan O'Neill. Tomorrow, we're going to be down in Durham for the Duke-Notre Dame game. 5 players in my top 12 big board on display tomorrow. But I think the Schellenberger, O'Neill, Kavanaugh, they call it the greatest draft because we've been talking about these guys for the last 4 years. And when they would become pros, how anticipated we would be in terms of the next level in their stardom in the PLL.
That's the unique part about those 3. Their careers started together. We're going to see them grow together. We'll probably see them one day playing for Team USA. And there is a connectivity between all 3 of those guys. Schutz looking for Boyden. He was in the crease. You think of tennis, where you had 3 greats in the same era, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic. If you're a baseball fan, as Matten fires wide, way back when, Willie, Mickey, and the Duke.
Yep.
All center fielders, all played for New York teams. There's that type of sense on a smaller scale in lacrosse, which Schellenberger, O'Neill, Kavanaugh, their teams have all had some great success. I know O'Neill's still trying to get that championship, could be this year, but if Brendan O'Neill and Duke were to win the title this year, all 3 would leave with individual accolades, a championship. It's unique in the sport.
It is. And they were stars from the moment they stepped on campus.
Matten off the Reedy feed. Good look. Denied. And now Chizmar the other way for Virginia. 12-5. Cavaliers have led the entire way. Chizmar's got 2 goals. Saved by Krieg. He jumps out. Cormier tallied the 200th goal of his career today. He's actually been quiet, though, for Peyton Cormier, a guy who averages basically a hat trick for his career.
You and I were doing the math, too. Matt O'Keefe's the all-time leading goal scorer, Division I history from Penn State, 221 goals. Cormier comes in with 199. If Virginia can get to championship weekend, if he hits on his average, he's going to be the all-time leading goal scorer in Division I lacrosse history.
Given that guys like Cormier have had the extra year, he's played basically 5 seasons, do we start going more to goals per game when we start to look at the prodigious goal scorers in lacrosse?
I'm okay with it, and that's why I was bringing up with Schellenberger my case for him being the best of all time at Virginia. He's the top scorer in school history in less games. Like, he did not have any of that 2020 COVID year. He was on campus, but he was redshirting regardless, so he never stepped on the field. It's a great point. And you feel like you have to do it with all sports, too, even college football.
Absolutely.
I mean, especially when you're getting into this new playoff era, right? There's going to be extended seasons with way more games.
Estrano had a nice caused turnover at the other end. Duffy has had his work cut out for him today, going up against Kastner. Petromala's been quiet without a goal for UNC. Duffy gets the step and squeezes it wide of the cage to back up to the heels.
Even with being quiet, though, he's shown us enough that he's an alpha and that he is going to be a force in the ACC for the next 3 seasons after this year. I love his first step. I love his fight, too. He does not back down from a matchup.
Duffy and Petromala 1 for 14 shooting today.
And that was my next point. I think this offseason, the next step for Owen Duffy and Dom Petromala is refining their shooting.
Here is Duffy. Kastner all over him. Help coming from Ware. And Virginia takes it away.
Ben Ware is something else. When Virginia won those national championships in 2019, 2021, they had the long stick midfielder Jared Connors. Kind of were missing that last year a little bit. Ware now has plugged that hole. You have to deal with him in transition.
That offensive-minded long pole, a staple of some of Lars Tiffany's best teams. At Brown, he had Larkin Kemp and Alec Tullett.
You're seeing it nationally, too, across the landscape. Jake Pacino from Albany, A.J. Mercurio from Denver, Mason Woodward from Marquette, Roy Meyer from BU.
Millon off the crossbar. Barton hacks at it.
You know what I think's happened, Anish, is
that was a shot, so it stays with Virginia.
When the shot clock era came into college lacrosse, it forced that position to think more offensive, right? So then the younger generation was playing. Kids were getting recruited to be a force on both sides of the field. And it's way better for the defender. It's way better in terms of their approach to developing their skills. But as a fan, it's obviously a better watch.
There weren't a lot of guys who did it. And then obviously Brody Merrill at Georgetown in the early 2000s, as good as anybody. But then I really think with Joel White, that position started to take off, and you saw the C.J. Costabiles, Brian Karalunas at Villanova, Scott Ratliff at Loyola.
Those are great comps. Yes.
It just seemed that the top teams had that guy, had that type of player. John Sexton at Notre Dame.
Well said, my friend. And the beauty of it too is you obviously want your long stick midfielder to be a really good defender. But I almost think it's okay if you lose a little bit in terms of the way that player covers if they're phenomenal in transition, because not every offensive player, midfield-wise, is attacking the pole. Yes, Griffin Schutz will, but a lot of teams that have the pole, they stay away from that guy anyway. So I almost want to look at that position and say, I know it sounds crazy, offense maybe a little bit more than defense.
Almost like a risk-taking cornerback in football.
Yes.
He may give up a big player too. He may get flagged for the occasional DPI, but he's going to finish the season with 4 or 5 interceptions, and that outweighs what he may give up.
Exactly.
Here comes Schutz. Neither team has scored in this fourth quarter. Schellenberger gets the screen from Boyden. Tolman stays with Shelley. There's Boyden. Was a star at Tufts. D3 power. He was the Division III Player of the Year last year. His shot saved. Geppert up ahead to English. Petromala now. Still looking for his first point. Petro gets it back and whips it a little too high. Duffy's got the backup.
We talk about Carolina and their lack of shooting efficiency. These young guys will figure it out. It's nothing mechanically. It's more about angles in placement. Like, I look at their releases. Duffy and Petramala have great strokes. It's about angles, and it's about location in terms of the goaltender.
UNC 5 for 34 shooting today. Levy with a bouncer, saved by Nunes, make it 5 for 35. I guess Nunes did not get a piece, so the shot clock does not reset. It'll stay with UNC, 39 to shoot. And we get a timeout by Lars Tiffany. 8:15 to go. Quarter number 4. Carolina's offense unable to navigate the trenches of Jurassic Park. Today, Virginia honored its 1999 championship team, the second NCAA championship team in school history, the first for Dom Starsia. They beat Syracuse in the championship that season. It ended a 27-year drought. It was a lot like when Maryland won it in 2017. When you trace back the history, Kark, Virginia had a lot of good teams between 72 and 99. There were a number of teams that got to the championship. I think 4 NCAA title games before 99 and after 72. Virginia lost by 1 goal.
Oh, yeah. 1986 to North Carolina. I remember watching that when I was a little kid. That game was down in Delaware. And then you had the Michael Watson and Doug Knight era, right? 94 as freshmen, they lost in the championship. 96, they lost in the championship, both to Princeton, so they were so close.
Felt like Princeton beat everybody by a goal or an overtime in those championship runs.
Coach Tierney knew how to win close games. Hess, Hubbard, Massey, that attack that won 3 championships in 96, 97, 98.
Are the last team to three-peat.
You know, then after Virginia kind of solved that missing piece of winning the title, then the pressure was on Hopkins, right? Hopkins hadn't won since '87 when they won in 2005, and then it became Maryland's story. Like, there's always been that team. When are they going to win?
You're right. Hopkins won in 05 and 07, and then really the mantle was passed to Duke, who was the best program not to win. They had been making runs to championship weekend. They broke through in 2010, and let's be honest, it was Notre Dame for several years, and they finally broke through last year.
It feels like we don't have that program right now. Like, who is that team that has that missing piece? I guess, you know, in the season that started in 2024, people were asking, is Syracuse and Hopkins back?
Yeah, it's been a long drought for both of those programs. Hopkins 07, Syracuse 09. Millon, the individual effort, another goal for him. Virginia extends to an 8-goal advantage with 6.5 to play.
This is an awesome individual effort by McCabe Millon. Do you remember earlier he swept down the alley lefty? He feels like he's probably running out of some real estate, and he goes back to his right hand here. So he's sweeping lefty. I think he's going to shoot at first, but at the last second of these, he brings it back to his right hand. Why? To increase his angle. But he does whatever he can to hold as much ground as possible, because if he lets his momentum take him too far south, he's going to lose his angle. So you see this core strength and the ability to swoop the stick back right-handed and rip it.
Virginia stays on the attack. How badly does Weyer want to be a part of this? 44 in white, the long pole. Looks like he's going to run off.
I was watching him in practice yesterday shooting. Then he was the first player on the field shooting. So in the back of my mind,
what does that tell you?
This guy wants a goal.
Here comes Colsey. Played for his dad, Roy, a great midfielder, one of the best at Syracuse, who's now the head coach in your hometown, Ridgefield, Connecticut.
Brother Kyle's a top 5 recruit in the country. He's coming to Charlottesville in the fall.
Cormier.
He'll fight for Cormier's spot as a lefty attackman.
Going to be some big shoes to fill next year with Schellenberger and Cormier gone. Schellenberger against Brett Koopman, freshman LSM, now Schutz. Dumps it back to Schellenberger. Cormier's got 1 goal today, fakes the pass, gets to the middle, shoots high. Colsey the backup 3 to shoot.
Watch how he just shoots through dudes, right? Cormier, like, it doesn't matter if you're trying to play the body on him. Good luck.
We think of what Peyton Cormier's done. 200 career goals now. He has back-to-back 50-goal seasons at Virginia. And in the history of this great program, he's the only player with 2 50-goal seasons. He's got 41 this year, so he's got a chance to do it 3 times.
That's crazy when you think about it. When you think of some of those goal scorers, right? The Doug Knights of the world. Chris Bachman had a couple of monster years. And Matt Ward.
Over and back. Carolina, been a long goal drought for the Tar Heels. They have not scored since 14:08 in the 3rd quarter. Yeah, they've been shut out for almost an entire half. Only 1 goal in the 2nd half for the Heels. It was a 10-4 game at halftime. New goalie for Virginia. Kyle Morris takes over for Matthew Nunes, hence the applause. McCabe Millon lost it, and it's scooped up
Nunes
by
with 11
Striano.
saves.
Here's the turnover. Menke on the open net. 14-5. As if Virginia needed to insert another dagger, but they do.
Menke's out of Dallas, Texas. Left-hander. Play a little attack in midfield. This time he's playing free safety, Anish. Just buries it to the empty net.
He went to Highland Park High School in Dallas, and the current high school coach there now is Mike Pressler.
Yeah.
Former Duke head coach, coached in the PLL.
He's playing a national schedule right now, too. I mean,
they're turning out some players out of Highland Park.
Coach Pressler's doing a phenomenal job down there. I mean, they're playing teams like Culver and all the Giants and going toe-to-toe with them. Kyle Morris is in cage. And Anish, when you talk to Kip Turner, the goaltender coach for the University of Virginia, who's a national champion himself, he loves Kyle Morris. I mean, he thinks he is a top-tier type of stopper that could probably start in the majority of Division I schools.
He's a redshirt freshman, and in an age where kids, if they don't play, will look elsewhere for opportunities, one of the things that's been somewhat amazing about what Virginia's done, Lars Tiffany redshirts guys.
Yep.
He redshirts top 100 recruits. Heck, he redshirted Conner Schellenberger. Now, he admits that was a mistake. But we've seen him redshirt guys.
Yes. And I think Kyle Morris, you know, Matthew Nunes is back
John
next
Schroeder's
year.
a guy who redshirted.
Kyle Morris will be a 2-year starter. And it says a lot about Kip Turner, too, as the goaltender coach.
Dubner off the feed from Petramala.
It's a tough one for Morris to come in cold. A little sun down on the field. He's not in the wind tunnel like us. But for a goalie to step in without a proper warm-up is always tough. And Dubner gets that one with a nice righty stroke. Petramala gets the shorty, so all the eyes are on the support. Gets back to the switch, but it's too late. Virginia defense. Eyes on 77 in Carolina blue. Dubner sticks it, but I think Kip Turner as a goalie coach might be the best in the business. When you watch the way that he develops goalies.
Future head coach.
Yeah, and the way that he also, the rapport he has with these goalies, like the relationships they all have with each other, like Kyle Morris and Matthew Nunes. They're like 2 peas in a pod during practice with Kip Turner. And I think he's developed that like safe place for the goalies to not feel like there's that crazy competition too. They're supporting each other. But Morris is a good personality too. rumor has it he gets a lot of parking tickets on campus. So I was messing around with him yesterday. I told him I had a parking ticket, and then he went on a rant and told me about his.
I remember my dad getting a bill for parking tickets like 3 years after I graduated college. We remind you, tomorrow it'll be Duke and Notre Dame national championship game rematch. Kark and I make the trip from Charlottesville to Durham. Our pal Quint Kesnick will meet us there. You're driving, I'm flying.
It's a 3-hour drive.
Yeah, I know.
To make matters worse, you don't even have a straight shot.
No, I'm connecting through Charlotte.
We saw Conner Schellenberger's dad at halftime, and we told him about your travel plans. He said he could get you down there in a wheelbarrow quicker than connecting.
Well, here's the thing. If I miss my connection, I live in Charlotte. I sleep in my own bed. I'll drive in the morning. I thought this out.
Okay, I'm waiting for this one.
No, that was it.
Oh, that was it.
That was it. It wasn't a deep thought. It's getting cold out here. Here comes Tommy McNeil. And Virginia will hold this and bleed out the clock. 30 seconds to go. Really a workmanlike effort from Virginia. I think they'd be the first to tell you, probably not their best effort. But they still win by 8 goals. And with the remaining schedule for Carolina, Syracuse, Notre Dame, and Duke,
they're going to be underdogs in all 3.
They've got to do some soul searching.
They do. And they need to figure out their shooting and their lack of midfield initiators. Dodgers, there was really no presence in terms of players making plays with their feet, getting separation outside of Owen Duffy. That's the reality right now.
On a day where Virginia honored the 1999 national champions, the 2024 version puts up an 8-goal win against North Carolina. The Cavaliers open up ACC play with a win, and the #2 team in the nation now 10-1 on the season. Next up for Virginia, they'll play the team that's hexed them for more than 2 decades, the Duke Blue Devils. Coming up next here on ESPNU, Penn State and Johns Hopkins. Chris Cotter and Quint Kesnick standing by for the call of that one. Penn State looks to rebound after that loss and that blown second-half lead against Maryland. Hopkins, pretty good resume so far. Chance to tack on another big win. Chris, Q, take it away.